Ms. Kingery, Southern Energy Management celebrated 10 years, as you just mentioned. And we talked a little bit about how the climate has changed since you started the company, but how has the company changed since you started the company?
Well, the company has changed quite a bit. The most obvious thing is we're no longer, my husband and I, working in our living room with our infant. So that's the biggest change that we've seen. We now have a team of 130 team members working across 4 offices. Again, as I mentioned, working across many states in the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic, and even up into the Northeast now. So the sheer numbers of team members has changed. We've obviously continued to refine our services offerings that we bring to our customers. Very early on, our customer base was homeowners, and as I mentioned, builders of new construction was a big part of our early history. And then now, as the industry has begun to evolve, as some of these other solutions are being brought to the table, battery storage and smart grid, we're starting to see much more utility engagement. So, the types of customers that we're dealing with has changed tremendously as well. So, we've continued to grow and gain more opportunities, and we're very excited about that. I'll add, for Paul and Rich here, we're excited to, participate in the industry census and to be part of this industry here in North Carolina. A little tidbit, we have added 30 new team members in the last 3 months. So, we're extremely pleased about that, about being able to do that. And we know there are many other companies out there adding staff as well and doing extremely well in this industry in North Carolina. So,
well, Mr. Quinlan, back to the census a little bit. What strengths particularly does our state have that are beneficial to these businesses? Why North Carolina and why the growth?
A big piece of that is the policy environment in North Carolina. We are the only state in the Southeast that has a policy called the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Portfolio Standard. And in a nutshell, what that does is it requires our electric utilities to incorporate renewable energy and/or energy efficiency into the way they do business and how they deliver electricity to their customers. We also have some tax credits and some other policies that assist these businesses in making an attractive environment to develop these products and services and deliver them to customers in North Carolina. So that's one piece of it. Overall, there's just a general attractiveness of the state of North Carolina. It's a state that consistently ranks very high in a place where companies want to do business, where they want to be headquarters. And what we're also seeing now is several different regions within the state are also marketing their strengths both nationally and internationally. And a good example is smart grid here in the Research Triangle portion of the state. It's an internationally recognized smart grid hub. There's over 60 firms spanning from R&D to manufacturing to implementation, just right here in the Research Triangle Park, and it's starting to be called the international hub for smart grid across the globe because there's so much expertise in so many companies. In the Charlotte region, they have something called the New Energy Capital, is what they are looking at developing and marketing and branding their region. A good example there is a company, Lime Energy, does energy efficiency. It's a national company, and they just relocated their corporate headquarters outside of Charlotte, in part because they want to be part of this growing hub in the Charlotte region. And then all the way out in western North Carolina, we have an Advantage West region, and they've just launched a partnership called Involve Energy Partnership, and they've just finished assessing all the companies and assets and resources that they have, and they're now beginning to figure out how do we market this region, how do we use our assets and grow this space that we have in this part of the state of North Carolina. So all of these factors are working to help companies grow, get established, new companies get established, and for existing companies to grow here in North Carolina.
And I'd add another frequently cited resource that we saw from this year's census onto what Paul had just put out there. That was the state energy centers. Specifically, they're at Appalachian State, there's one at North Carolina A&T, and then there's the North Carolina Solar Center. And the number of firms, we asked a question this year in the census saying, please tell us the strengths, the weakness, the opportunity, and the threat that you see facing North Carolina's clean energy sector. And overwhelmingly, especially the North Carolina Solar Center, what we saw was the Desire database, which is a database on state incentives for renewable energy, some of the training assets, the support assets, And that can really be expanded beyond the energy centers too. We saw companies pointing out the small business technology and development centers were a great support asset. Local community workforce training, third-party training, so NABCET, BPI, all these different opportunities that are in our state, which lead to a really large and a skilled workforce for companies to come in and look to hire from.
No, also, I don't know, when you look at the colleges around here too, I mean, are there some studies there? Because NC State's heavily involved in power, you know, Duke into sort of maybe the higher level sort of math when it comes to electricity, you know, the theory part of it. I mean, is that is that some of your stats, or you know, some of the research you're doing? Is that some of the bleed over from, you know, maybe what's the draw down here?
It is factored into it. The workforce, it's a question that we ask, is how important is a strong workforce to a business? And it consistently comes up as most companies flag that as one of the important assets that they're looking for, and they need a good workforce to be able to succeed. So the state and the region, there's tremendous educational resources both at the university level, at the community college level, and all of those are feeding into companies that need new talent. And when you layer on top of that some of the specialized trainings that Rich mentioned, we have got a lot of skilled talent now in the state of North Carolina. And what's most fascinating is, especially for things like solar, we've got people that have left the state, maybe gone to California, and now returning to the state of North Carolina and coming back to the place where they want to be, whether they've got family or like the climate, and relocating here and have jobs now that a couple years ago they had to leave and go to other states to do work.
I think one of my favorites too, just as the question moves back down the table, one of my favorite points was for one of the strengths, a company simply put the entrepreneurial spirit of the North Carolina businesses. So, you know, that was really good to see stuff like that appearing and recognized as one of the drivers for why we're so successful.
Well, and I'll put a plug for North Carolina Sustainable Energy Association, you know, being a resource for businesses, being a place that we can come and find out about the educational opportunities and find out, you know, about the policies that may be affecting our businesses. You know, having a very strong statewide resource there is tremendously impactful for our state, and I know from talking with our colleagues in other parts of, particularly around the Southeast, we're unique in that. And I will add, I mean, from my perspective, you asked how things have changed. So 10 years ago, you know, we were not able to hire people who were trained in the things that we do. I mean, they just weren't out there. So we were frequently hiring people who were very passionate about this work and wanted to get involved, and then we had to create our own training. That cost us obviously a tremendous amount of money, and investments very well made. But it's a transition that the industry has made here in North Carolina, I think, as a result of, again, the efforts of the State Energy Office, of the North Carolina Sustainable Energy Association, the energy centers. There's a tremendous amount of training going on statewide in the community colleges that will benefit us both in energy efficiency and in renewable energy. So it's made a tremendous difference in our business, and we are seeing people from other parts of the country coming back to North Carolina and either wanting to start businesses or wanting to, you know, join existing businesses that are here. So we're on the map, and it's exciting to see. It's a big shift. It used to be that people just talked about California or maybe New York and New Jersey, and now North Carolina is a part of that conversation.